Back to Home Wargamers Live. This is the first one of the year and a very special one. So we start off with a very, very big one. I'm here with David Sharrock, lead producer of Panzer Core, aka Shards.
Good to be here, Marco.
You might find him around on Discord and all our other community channels. We've got a pretty busy schedule. We were trying to sort of go through all the things we're going to show you today earlier on, and it was like very, very fast. And of course, David has, can speak very, very, very
I can
fast.
speak very quickly. Yes.
So we'll try and get things slowly, but with the right pace. So today we are going to show you a lot of stuff. It's of course all about Panzer Core 2. You might be prepared for some new things you've never seen, some things you might already know from all the different development diaries and so on. We've got interesting news about release, about how we're going to release the game, so very, very quickly, the first thing I want to say is Panzer Core 2 is releasing very, very soon.
Very soon.
We are going to start pre-orders very, very, very soon.
Even sooner.
Even sooner, of course. We are prepared to start a new chapter in the Panzer Core history. The first Panzer Core released in what was 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
I think so, yeah.
So get ready for a long run here. We're all prepared for this. The first thing we don't show you is what we call the flavor trailer, or
atmosphere.
An atmosphere.
Yeah, we're setting the tone.
Which ends with a bit of news, and this is going to be the start, the kickoff of the stream, and then we're going to dive into the features, questions. We're going to have a good 15-20 minutes at the end of the stream for answering questions, and hopefully most of the questions we'll have answered during the stream, but feel free to shoot any question at the end of the stream, and we'll pick up some of the questions as we go as well. And then at 7 our time, so it's basically in an hour time, we have the first stream for the game.
Yep.
Our good friend Pixelated Apollo is going to play the game, and we're going to host it on our channel, and this is going to be then the kickoff for all streams for the game, previews and reviews as we approach release date. So get ready for a lot of coverage in the forthcoming weeks, months. It's going to be massive. All right, so let's go with the first bit of trailer, and we'll get back to here in about a minute and a half. Then it's March 19th, right?
Yeah, 19th
March 19th. Not a lot of time, not a long time to wait. And pre-orders are going to be also going live very soon. We'll give you details about all of that during the stream. March 19th means that we are in the final stages of preparation for the game. Some of you have been in the beta for a long time, so you know the game inside out. As we have a lot of new people probably in the stream as well, and we're then showing this stream afterwards. I'll ask David to sort of run us through the basics, right? So what is Panzer Core 2, and give us a bit of an outline of the whole thing.
So as you said, it's really exciting to get going on Panzer Core 2 after been working on Panzer Core 1 since my first stint in Slitherine. It's good to be back to looking after Panzer Core 2 now. Panzer Corps 2 basically takes the soul of what Panzer Corps and the original Panzer General from '94 started with. You are a Panzer General. You are leading a corps force in the German army from 1939 all the way through to 1945, maybe, depending on where you get to. The core of the game is a hex-based strategy game. You are there with your divisions of infantry and tanks and artillery and tactical bombers and strategic bombers, and it's up to you to take part in some of the biggest, most epic, most well-known battles of World War II. You're there to organize your troops to push forward and make the Reich proud.
All right.
Overall, it's a turn-based game. It's I go, you go, as these traditional games are. It takes the very core of the 5-star series. Your unit sizes are abstracted somewhat. You have groups of infantry and groups of panzers. They are not fully, this is exactly what's in here. It's slightly abstracted, but it's abstracted for fun. It's abstracted for enjoyment, and so you can really get on them and play the game, whilst at the same time really supporting the reality of what the game is.
Yeah, which was the real, fun part of the original game. Yes. It was the right level of abstraction to get the real fun out of it.
Yes, because it's like you could. We have Slitherine has Matrix have many games in our system covering this time period, but Panzer Corps hits a little sweet spot. We're really proud of it.
Absolutely. So it's been in development for a long time now, and one of the things that the developer of the game, Flashback Games, and in particular designer Alex Shargi, I mean, putting a lot of effort in is really let's take Panzer Corps, which was a massive success, over a million copies sold, 17 DLCs. It's been out for a while, but a huge community of players out there. What can be done to improve on the game, and what are the innovations that we should expect from Panzer Corps 2?
So there's kind of two ways they've gone about it. One of taking everything that they wanted to be able to do in Panzer Corps 1 but couldn't because it was running on really quite old technology by this point, and actually being able to do that. And secondly, being able to go, right, it's 2020. We have quite good games technology available. What can we do with that?
All right.
So the big difference, as you can see from the videos that you're watching on the screen, is it's no longer 2D sprites. It's now fully 3D physics-based rendering units based on Unreal Engine 4. We've had artists working for super hard to actually make these tanks and planes and infantry look amazing and sound amazing and feel amazing, which you can only do so much with in a sprite-based format. But then we've had the ability to go and write that bit of gameplay that maybe everybody wanted to see in Panzer Corps 1, but we're never really able to really get it to feel that good. In this one, we'll be able to go right back to the start, build it up again, and get a really good game out of it.
It's one of the things that there was the core of the the starting point where okay, what do we do from here is can we listen to the community?
Oh, of course, yes.
And that's being a big part of it, right?
Well, that's the benefit of this game, is it's still being led by Alex Shargi. Still, he's been the core of Panzer Corps for so long, and he really cares and really wants to make the game that people want to play. He's making it for himself because he wants to play it, but also he's making it because he really cares about what people think. He wants people to enjoy it and be able to really engage with the game how they want to play it.
Yeah, I think one of the things about Alex is really trying to sort of make the game that he wanted to make when he first released Panzer Corps, and this is you're gonna see this is gonna be huge. Right, so as you said, there's two parts of it.
Yeah.
There's the technology, and the technology means also what you're able to display on screen, and the look of things, the sound of things, and of course, first thing is of course that Panzer Corps 2 is developed in the Unreal Engine.
Yep.
What does it mean for the game itself?
Well, so firstly, being able to be a 3D objects means that they are much more skinnable, much more changeable. If in a 2D game platform, if you want to do something winter camo, summer camo, everything else, you've got to get someone else to draw those sprites for you. 3D system, you can have a similar skin, a similar pattern, and put it onto many tanks. Means that it's so much easier for us to support that breadth of visual flavour in the game. But also similarly, it means that when you're engaging a unit now, we can add so much more drama and impact from it. Some of the amazing VFX you'll see in some of the shots that are getting shown on screen, you can't really do that well in the 2D based game.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of games being released recently and over the years that are kind of innovative in gameplay and so on. But one of the things that Panzer had always had as a big point in its favor is that the amount of units.
Oh yes.
And how's Panzer Corps 2 performing on that side?
We have not shirked. I think the original Panzer Corps had 600 something units at start, up to about 800 now. 7 years later, we're coming in with 1,000 straight off the bat in Panzer Corps 2, ranging from the lowliest Bruchen Pioneer up to mouse tanks, to Junkers, to Heinkels, to also all the other side, KV1s, KV2s, experimental Wunderwaffe. Everything we can possibly find, we've tried to make sure we've got it in the game. So videos you'll be seeing on screen soon show you the kind of breadth that we've got.
I think one of the things about having so many units is, of course, that you have to sort of have it's not only cosmetic, right? Every single unit has its own characteristics.
Precisely.
It's a huge database of things.
Well, that's the other thing that we got from this, because Panzer Corps had been there for so long, the unit stats database, it was so well balanced in its own place that you couldn't really play with it. It was so finely head of a needle balanced. Panzer Corps 2, the designers and the design team took the choice to basically throw everything away at the start. They knew what the units are, they know what should be strong against something else, what should be useful in a situation, and they've rewritten all the stats from the base ground upwards to rebalance the entire game. And it's a fantastic opportunity for them to listen to the beta testers, listen to the alpha testers, and the community as a whole to make everything feel really concrete.
In terms of, we said 1,000 units. Can you give us an idea of the factions that are going to be in the game initially?
So initially, Tarty, you're playing as the Germans.
Yeah.
So that's your start. But you have allies, so you will turn up with Romanians, auxiliaries, you have Italian auxiliaries, all that kind of thing. But also facing you've got all the Soviet forces, the British forces, the American forces, all the. You end up in Persia at one point, so you end up with British Indian forces coming at you. All that kind of thing. So yeah, it's not just the Panzer units, even though that's the title of the name, we've really spread the love around. And
these units will, of course, all look different in game. And one of the other things, of course, is is the longevity and how much you're going to be playing in with the original, with the initial release. I was looking at the numbers, and there's over 60 scenarios in the game.
Yeah, so the original Panzer Corps had 43, I believe, which covered from 1939 invasion of Poland up to 1945, either in Berlin or in America. We've gone for a similar time frame, but this time we've got 63, I think, last I checked. Starting again with the invasion of Poland, either from the Danzig corridor in the north or down from the southern corridor, but also Barbarossa, everything around there, and all the North Africa campaigns are in there from the start in the first edition of the game. And also, importantly, historical and fictional scenarios, because we know that's something that Panzer Corps players have always liked. It's like, make their war their way. If they want to play the historical defending Berlin as the Allies close in, they can do it. It's entirely up to them. And unlike the original Panzer Corps, where you kind of had to game the system to get your decisive victories or your minor victories, or even losses in some case to get to certain scenarios, in Panzer Corps 2, we've made it so that the player is entirely up to them how they want to fight the battle. If you win the scenario, you can choose where you want to go. If you want to fight El Alamein and retreat from North Africa, you can do. If you want to go and plough on and bash your way through to Persia, you can do that as well.
That's interesting, because one of the the things I get from what you're saying is, as the game has become a much more like customizable in a way, and which brings me to the idea of how does the skirmish mode works, and can you give us a bit of an idea of how that works?
So something that Alex wants to add to the game for a while is the ability to go, I just want to play a battle. I don't want to play. There were lots of good, cool scenarios in the game. There's lots of cool battles to play. I just want to play a random battle. Throw me in there. Give me someone to fight against. And one of the new technologies that have gone into Panzer Corps 2 is the ability to do just that. It's basically to go, hell, here I am. I want to be the British. I want to play a 2 versus 1 battle where I'm being attacked by a combination of German and Soviet tanks on a Ireland scenario, and go on, roll me a scenario.
All right.
And the new system does just that.
I'm asking the guys if you can play the video about the skirmish generator. That'd be cool. I think this is showing a little bit of the options you've got to create your own battles. And
it's hard to demonstrate the entire breadth of it.
Of course,
it's very full of randomness.
Yeah, one of the things about the skirmish is of course that you can pick elements that are going to be sort of very unique to the battle you want to play.
Yep.
So factions and number of units in the game, and how the map will look like.
Yeah, it just gives that extra longevity. See, there's so many campaign missions and different ways to play through the campaign that no two will be the same, and there'll be lots of scenarios outside the game, both historical and fictional, to try your hands at, but sometimes you just want something completely new, and that's what we're trying to build.
Absolutely. One of the things is, of course, that you've said over 60 scenarios, the random map generator, this 1,000 units thing. The game becomes really massive in it, in terms of breadth, and what other options there are to make it good to play more games.
Yes. So we've added in a whole set of new gameplay mechanics into the game. So not only just adding this breadth of basically new tables to play on, as it were, new tools to play on those tables. So we're basically going to go through about 5 or 6 of the bigger systems today. There's lots more we're going to talk about in the future. We're going to start, I think, with Overrun.
This is part of the gameplay mechanics that we were mentioning at the start. How many things have been really asked by the community over the years, and Overrun is of course one of these. And let's get through these kind of quickly. I think some of these have been covered in Dev Diaries, but because this is sort of a first look into the game, let's run through this. So Overrun.
So Overrun is exactly what it says. It's what people have wanted. If I have a Panzer III charging at a broken series of Soviet conscripts, they shouldn't really be taking my actions up. They should be being scattered to the wind underneath my tracks. I should be blowing through and breaking a great big hole in their front line. And that's exactly what we've added. So now, if you weaken a unit, and if you engage it in the open, not in the closed terrain, only in open terrain, if you engage it and completely destroy it, your unit is then rewarded with a new movement and attack action point for that same turn.
Right.
So you can hit it, blast through, engage, and get into the hinterlands really quickly, which adds a whole new ability of how do I tactically line something up? How do I engage the people in front of me?
Of course. This is again one of the things that people were asking for, and the other one, which is it's caused a lot of interest. When we announced it earlier on, this is something some of you guys already know, but this idea of splitting units, and which is very much linked to how you purchase units.
Yeah. So splitting units is one of those things. Basically, being able to take a single force and go, right, I'm covering this terrain with that. I want to actually be able to cover twice as much. Why can't I just split them in half? So one flank that way, one flank the other way. In Panzer Corps 1, that was kind of hard because there's no real way to pay for it. Because everything was based on core slots. A single unit took a single slot. In the new game, units now have kind of a slot cost, and you have a set amount of cost. So in the one you're watching right now, you've got 45 cost, and there's 43 being used. The way we allow you to split units is you basically you pay a cost towards that split. So for the administrative cost of basically going, you now have 2 units to deal with. You can now have half a unit, send it around, outflank, set up your own individual flanks, cause encirclements, do more damage, and then join them back together later on and refund that cost.
Right, which brings us to the idea of encirclements.
Yes.
The feature of it, it's become really an interesting feature in the game. Elaborate a bit on that.
So, the Panzer Corps 2 has a slightly different supply and resupply system to Panzer Corps 1. Panzer Corps 1 you have to do it manually. Panzer Corps 2 it's generally manually done for you at the start of your turn. But we also want to be able to still simulate that amazing ability to basically create big pockets of units and cut them off and whittle units down that were maybe too strong to engage with straight away, set them up, leave them to starve, then engage them later on. So now units, if they can surround enemy units' socks, entirely with their forces. They cut them off. It's shown visually on screen with a big old pocket boundary, so you can see only the ones you're watching. And within that boundary, whilst the unit's there, it's encircled. It receives no supply, it receives no relief of suppression, it receives no new ammo, no new fuel, and each turn it's in there, its stats decrease and decrease and decrease, slowly making them essentially worthless from a combat point of view. It's really is a key strategy for Panzer Corps 2.
How these impact the progression of the characters and units in the game. It's again another new way that sort of we had heroes in the Panzer Corps, but this is sort of a new way of treating the whole subject of adding sort of an RPG element to the game, right?
Yeah, because it also means that lots of the units that were maybe unfavoured in the first Panzer Corps 1, because maybe the recon units, they had some use because you get in, get out. Now they are really very useful for getting around the back, splitting, really cutting supply lines, and putting the enemy in a really bad situation.
Right. Yeah. And how do you grow your units in terms of giving them abilities and so on in the game?
So there's kind of two aspects to this. So because when you're playing the game in Panzer Corps, it's kind of the same time everyone was going through. You were just the titular Panzer General. In Panzer Corps 2, you are now a commander. You are a person who has traits and who brings a certain something to your force, and we want to let you be that person in some way. So each time now when you start a new campaign, you have a choice as the commander to say, this is me, this is my name, this is my picture, and this is what I bring to my Panzer Corps. These are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, and this is what I really bring to it. So some abilities let you bring more infantry, some let you bring more panzers, some maybe cause you to be poor at supplies, some maybe prevent you from actually hiring any artillery effort.
Right.
That sort of challenge you can set to yourself. But also, whereas in the original game you had heroes and medals, we're bringing them back, we've changed them up, made them a bit more dynamic. So heroes now are recognized by high command rather than at the end of each mission. So you start each mission, high command goes, that guy there, they did very well. And then you can choose where to put them. So they come with the unique ability to maybe say break entrenchment or cross rivers. And you can choose which unit gets that hero and which unit gets that ability, and how to actually, how you want your corps to grow with that ability.
Right. David, I think that one of the key elements, that really needed update. This, it's fair to say, was the aerial warfare system, and we needed. I mean that it was a layer of the game.
Yes.
That was simplified as much as can be simplified, but. How did this how did Alex reinvent the aerial warfare system?
Yeah, so aerial units in Panzer Corps 1 were essentially land units with wings. They had a move, they attacked, they had fuel. In Panzer Corps 2 now, they are much more aligned to how the Air Force was used at this time, where units are Air Force bases, and at the start of their turn, they return back to their base, refuel, rearm, and then each turn you can send them out on sorties to move and attack and scout and do whatever you need to. But each unit has only so much operational range. So your Messerschmitts have good engagement with the enemy fighters, but only have limited range. Your big old Heinkel bombers have quite large range. So in order to keep up with the front line, you need to keep moving forward, taking new air bases, rebasing your aircraft, pulling them forward with your front lines.
Well, one of the things that we were discussing earlier on is I think an interesting aspect is all these new mechanics, overrun and splitting units, and this hero abilities and the aerial warfare. How do you think they're bringing complexity to the game as opposed to sort of the game still being very approachable?
I think it's the key bit of Panzer Corps, and what Panzer Corps always needs to be, is that if you want to, you can beer and pretzels all you like with Panzer Corps. You can sit back and go, I'm just going to click some, blow some holes in tanks and just engage it and go really quick through it. But at the same time, especially with the new systems that we've introduced today and more to come in the future, we're given the extra ability of someone who wants to go, I'm going to take my time, plan this out, make this my perfect operation, and take however long they want to. There's that added complexity there, that added depth of, do I make this choice or that choice? How do I want to run my war?
I think it's one of the, it's more like a philosophical question here, but more like, it's always like when you do a sequel, you're always trying to add more and make the game a bit more complex, because your main audience is probably going to be, who bought the first one, so you want to please them first.
Yep.
But it's always hard because, on the other end here we've got like a super eye-pleasing game, with lots of explosions and lots of nice touches and lots of units and so on. So you really want to please to a new audience.
Every game is always someone's first game. There's always someone out there for whom this is the first game or the first war game they bought. And who are we to say, no, you can't play this game? We're here to please everyone, from the grogs who really know what we're talking about, who know exactly how the mechanics work, through to new players who maybe don't know about war games, want to give it a try. We want to welcome them in.
Yeah, which brings us to the core of, the whole, idea of Panzer Culture, which is, let's make a game that's really customizable, right? And we live in a world where everybody says this is customizable, this is customizable, and so on. So, I think Alex really tried to bring this to Panzer Culture, make the game the game that's different for everyone. And Bruno, I think that I don't see the chat updating there, so it might be good to sort of check if you can, because I think this is kind of not updating properly. If you can give us the idea of what people are saying in background, so that we've got like
I think we're looking at messages from 6:12, which is 15 minutes ago.
Just because I just want us to be on top of what people are saying, which is of course cool for live chat.
So what we're moving on to. So as we talk about, you can talk about how you customize the game mechanics, how you want to play the game your way, but you can also display the game your way. So each of the units now can be customized in myriad ways. I think at the start we've got over 180 camouflage patterns on day one for each unit. They can be applied to pretty much any unit they want to. And that basically means you can go in there, choose how you want your Panzer Corps to roll. I think the demonstration we've got here, this person wants the Panzer Corps to roll in a particularly colourful manner. That's fine. Personally, my weakness as a Panzer General is telling my Messerschmitts apart. So I actually actively use this system to colour code which of my Messerschmitts is which Messerschmitt, which one's got my hero in, and I give that one a unique camouflage so I can tell it apart. Right. It's not historical, but it helps me. If someone else wants to play this in a full historical way and goes, I'm invading Moscow in the snows of winter, I want everyone to be camo coloured, go ahead, do it. Set yourself up.
I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. So let's dive into this idea of customizing a game. And I'll skip one point and go to the following one, Bruno. Undo system.
Yes.
This is like the buzzword of can you undo your game and your moves and never in a 4 letters word have caused so many discussions.
Yes.
So how did we tackle this?
It's mostly, as we've tried to stick to the same principle. If it's the player's game, let them play it. So undo has historically had to be a controversial system, because we have an undo system so people who've made mistakes can take it back, because it's a game, people make mistakes. But also people who wanted limited because they feel it gives them either themselves or another player an unfair advantage. So we tried to go for a system which basically gives the player the choice how they want to do it. So they can go through the undo system and go, do I want to say, I will never be able to use the undo system? Can I only use it to undo movement? Can I use it to undo any action? Can I use it once a mission, once a turn, twice a turn, as much as I want to? I personally use it only to undo maneuvers where I misclicked. And I refuse to turn it off because I'm a klutz, and I do it. And so I give myself that crutch. If a player wants to, they can choose not. And we want players to be able to do whatever they feel is right for them.
Yeah, of course not in multiplayer.
No, in multiplayer it will be limited and synchronous because fairness matters. But if you're playing a single player game, if you've had a couple of beers too many and you're not quite sure where you're clicking anymore, the undo is a wonderful thing.
It's a good thing. Yeah, I've seen a comment earlier on saying about the camo stuff that they're fearing loot boxes are coming. Just forget about it. No loot boxes. No loot box is gonna come in Panzer Corps. One of the things that was important is that Bruno's telling me I just missed one point. I actually skipped it, but here it comes. Sometimes I think this is for new players, I guess. This is a feature for new players, but it tells a lot about the type of game we're trying to deliver to new audiences as well. Which is simultaneous unit actions.
Yes.
Elaborate a bit on that.
So previously in the game, you clicked unit, told you to go over there, and then fought. You do it one at a time. I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. Simultaneous unit actions is kind of two things. Firstly, it means that me as a player, I can say that tank go there, that tank go there, that tank go there, quickly with gay abandon, and they'll all go. As long as they're not in each other's way, they'll all just happily trundle forward and do their thing in quick time. But also, during the AI turns, or even during your turn, you can hold down a key and it'll basically accelerate all the movements to go bam, 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 bam. And that big wave coming through adds a real drama and also gets the AI turn out of the way really quickly.
Yeah. I think it's both. Actually, you're right. It's two-folded feature. The multiplayer, we touched on it very, very quickly. There's a big innovation on that.
Yeah, so I've seen the multiplayer guys in the chat asking about how multiplayer is going to work. First of all, PBEM's there. It's a PBEM version 3, okay. So it's an upgraded version, which has new features and hopefully a bit more stability. But that works exactly as it does in other Slitherine games. You play your turn, you send it off, our server holds it, delivers it to your opponent, as many players as you need to. But also now, because it's the modern era, we've added the ability to basically just go and say, all right, mate, we're both online at the same time, shall we just play? And you can both play, you can see each other's moves, you can chat to each other in real time, and just play the game normally. But, and this is the key thing that we can bring because we have that PBEM system, we back up your turns to PBEM as you play.
All right.
So if I'm playing, and we're all adults mostly, if there's a child crying or a dog that needs walking, or maybe you need to go to work, you can just basically go, well, I need to bail out now, and you're not ruining the game, because that game can then be saved back to PBEM. You can continue asynchronously, or maybe kick it up later on.
That's really cool. And it's 1v1?
1v1 and 2v2 and 2v AI and whatever you want to.
All right. Okay. Cool. That's an interesting aspect as well. One thing we touched on skirmish,
yes,
which is of course important. But another one that it's important for more experienced players, I would say, is a scenario editor.
Yes.
How would that work?
Well, a huge part of the longevity of Panzer Corps has been that we've had a good, solid scenario editor there for people to make their own content, to tell the story of World War II their way. So what we've made sure we've added with Panzer Corps 2 is a new, upgraded version of that wonderful scenario editor. As in the old one, it's really simple. You get in there, plop some tiles down, plop some units down, play away. But there was always that limit in the old editor. It only did what the editor let you do. We now, pretty much everything in the editor is now powered by Lua scripts. And the players, if they want to, can write their own Lua scripts to do pretty much whatever they like. If they want to share those around to add that functionality to new players, they can do. If they want to have a Lua script that only triggers on this day, on every second Thursday, in clouds, whilst the Junkers is falling on them, they can do that as well.
Okay, cool. Of course, as we said, Unreal, modern engine, blah blah. 4K support.
There's been many comments in the chat about 4K support. Yes, we support 4K right out of the box.
And UI scaling.
And UI scaling is a really subtle thing. So it's not just that the UI scales nicely to support the extra resolutions. The UI itself is customizable. So if you want to have your force panel on screen at all time, you can do. If you want to drag that force panel to take up half the screen, you can. Okay. If you want to close that force panel and just have the unit details out, you can. If you want to take your mini-map, stretch up to half the screen, then put it back down again, that you can do as well. So the point of advantage of having a modern engine is to be able to actually use that customizable UI to let people do it how they want to do it.
Hence, the amount of things you're saying is, just justifies the weight, I guess, because the people have been waiting for so long, but a lot of work has been done over the years to improve and make this game as best as the guys wanted. Before we move to QA, I wanted to give you a few updates. We're going to do pre-orders. Pre-orders for Panzer Corps are going to start in February 9th, I think. February 6th, right? I didn't
want to tell you. I wanted to see if you remembered.
Dates right. February 6th is the date for the start date for pre-orders. So it's not a long way off. Wanted to also touch base on an interesting subject, which is, you know, what's going to happen with Panzer Corps. Now, we had to make a decision to sort of streamline the amount of content of Panzer Corps, the original Panzer Corps that was out, and we've sort of looked at what other people are doing and so on, because, you know, it's not that we're the first of, you know, having this you know, this issue to tackle. So we're basically going to sort of make us consolidate all the Panzer Corps content into one single game that is going to be the only way to sort of to get Panzer Corps, the original Panzer Corps online. So that's going to be a Panzer Corps Gold, you know, the version of Panzer Corps Gold, you know, out there with new price and new setup, but that's going to be the only thing you're going to be able to purchase out there. So if in the meantime you're willing to sort of finish your collection of original Panzer Corps DLCs, get to sort of the cheap ones, we're going to run some promos as well as we approach launch. So make sure you tune in on the Slitherine site and on other resellers, because we're going to give you the opportunity to complete your collection before we move to Panzer Corps 2, and we really owe you that.
Yes.
So you're going to sort of find that it's going to be very, very easy to finish your collection for very cheap very, very soon. And we'll start pre-orders on the 6th of Feb, which means that from then on, you know, Panzer Corps 2 is going to be out there. We're also going to give you some nice extra content for pre-orders, and for early adopters, we're going to sort of preparing some discounts as well. So to make sure that you guys are all, you know, watching and giving you the opportunity to jump on the game straight away. After this, in about 20 minutes, we're going to have a stream premiere from Pixelated Apollo. We are going to host that on our channel, and you're going to be seeing that on his channel as well. And he's going to play through some initial missions in the game. So let's sort of open for questions and answers.
So there's one I'm just going to pick straight out, was reasonably early. Recently was a guy called Marco was asking about limited units for special units. As Andrew's mentioned in the chat, units that maybe a bit special, maybe unproven, appear as prototypes. Prototypes are units you can add to your core, but it's only a limited number of them, usually coming back 20. Okay. So you can add a unit of 10 of those to your core force, play with it, but then there's only 10 reinforcements available for that until it gets such time that they are available to add as a standard manufacturing unit. But you can also, if you want to, take 2 groups of 10. You've got no reinforcements for it, but maybe you're confident.
One of the questions was difficulty levels. Can we say anything about that?
We're trying to actually add more, again, customization to difficulty levels. So you have, again, 5 of them, from lieutenant to general, but we're also adding now more toggles. So you can add the kind of equivalents to the kind of the Manstein and Rommel difficulties that you have in Panzer Corps 1 now. So you can have, if you want to, you can have less turns. If you want to be able to, I want to have to blitzkrieg, you can choose that. If you want to have it so you get no prestige unless you take places, you can choose that. So we're trying to, rather than saying this is Manstein, saying this is this difficulty level, which kind of sets the base parameters, but then you can customize it how you want to play it.
Which brings me to another question, interesting, you know, linked to that. How's the prestige system going to work?
Yes, so the prestige system is very similar to Panzer Corps 1. It's the core of your currency and your score at the same time. You earn it by taking flags on the map, but also in most maps you earn it over time as well. So you get a small bleed in to actually keep your divisions alive. Whereas previously, a lot of the high level play you had to work on surrendering units. Surrendering units now gives you units to buy rather than being the core. Oh, I can't survive unless I prestige some surrenders.
Question: will Panzer Corps 2 have cloud saves?
Almost certainly.
Of course, yes. What other things? How do we purchase units? We just sort of hinted into that.
Yeah, so
elaborate on it.
So the key bit is you have prestige, which is your currency and score at the same time. The more you spend, the less you get at the end of it, so the less kudos. And you add those to your core, which basically takes up slot points. Each unit has a cost in prestige and a slot point cost. And then you can choose how many to take to a mission. So a lot of the demos we've seen in the videos, you say have 45 slot points available, and you can assign 45 slot points of units to that mission, and maybe leave the rest in reserve, bring them on later. So I often end up with a few specialist units like my self-propelled AT, maybe sits in my reserve for some missions, and I'll bring it along for the next mission and swap something else out.
We need wider strategic maps so that teams of humans can fight against other teams across a wide front.
To keep individual input in. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so that's basically a campaign mode with multiplayer.
Yeah.
Interesting mode going forward.
Probably sort of bordering into another game.
Yes. To answer some of the questions, Panzer Squad 2 really should have cloud saves. The campaign is only for Germans at the start. It covers Europe, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, and Africa, and a bit of America if you want to go and muck around in America.
All right. Number of units deployed. How does it work?
So I say that's basically the slot point. So if you want to bring along your core of just entirely tanks, you can do if you want to. It's not necessarily the best way to solve the mission, as they're not going to be able to crack those cities open. But you basically set a limit by the scenario designer saying this is how much you should bring to this point. If someone wants to design a scenario with more than that, then.
I see Alex is in the chat as well. Hi, Alex.
Alex.
Yes, PBM. We said that we're going to have both PBM and live multiplayer. Naval system. Naval system. Can you elaborate a bit on it?
You'll see more of that as we get some. Because it's when the Western Front doesn't have that many naval maps. We use the Navy. They've got new systems in there, but we're expecting them to be more sort of as the game builds out. You'll see more Atlantic and Pacific fleets built out of that. There's always so much naval action. Most of the naval action in the Mediterranean was kind of sitting around threatening each other from ports.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Panzer Corps start. Will Panzer Corps start in Poland?
Yes.
Are there any other starting points?
Yes, there's we show those 5. So you can start in Poland with either Poland South, Poland North. You can go to Barbarossa, do North, Centre, South. You can start out in Africa. You can start out in Kursk. You can start out, I think, at D-Day as well. On the defensive. Someone mentioned there, is it still 1 infantry, 1 tank? No. So infantry have a wide variety of slot points. So a Brücken Pioneer takes 1, Grenadiers 4. Tanks, you can have a Panzer Corps, a Panzer 1B for 2 slot points. Your Maus is going to take 7. So it is very much about how much weight you're bringing is much more balanced. Whereas in the Panzer Corps 1, it was sometimes about how many mice I can bring.
Other questions? All right. Well, Alex is answering some of these in the chat anyway.
There's one there from Gamers 1745. How will artillery work? Artillery works very similar to the Panzer Corps 1. So in the offensive, it mostly causes suppression. It's there to keep people down, remove entrenchments, soften people up for your attack. On the defensive, it defensifies against soft targets. New in Panzer Corps 2 is that your AT now defensifies against hard targets. So if you've got your infantry holding a ridge, if you've got your Flak 88 behind it set to AT mode, it will provide defensive fire against oncoming KV-1s.
All right. We got into detail. How many music soundtracks in the game? That's one
for Alex.
One for Alex in the chat.
He knows his music.
When can we expect DLC campaigns? That's a bit early, as you say.
Let's get the game out first.
We're still really into developing the and finalizing the details.
So Evil 6 asking, will there be an option to progress through the game chronologically, like playing a mission in Russia then jumping over to North Africa? There are many ways to play through the game. So there's 60 plus missions. How you play through the game, you will not play every mission every time. So if you're starting Poland North, you'll play the North missions, maybe go over to Norway and maybe do Northern France. You may, if you want to, play Poland South and go down through to Paris. You may, if you want to, attack Barbarossa from North, Centre or South, to either going to Moscow, to Leningrad or to the oil fields. It's up to you to choose that. At some point, depending on how you choose though, you may end up going, actually, we've been rebuffed from Moscow, what do we do now? Oh, we better go and help Rommel out for a bit.
Okay.
That's a choice you can make.
All right, okay. Can we please Polish language? It's very likely.
We like pleasing Polish language.
It's very likely it's going to happen, yes.
Princess asks how weather
will affect units.
I believe it's very similar to Panzer Corps 1 in that as weather gets worse, it's really quite not that good for airplanes, and also a bit more of a slog. So that Russian winter is not as easy to go through, especially when it turns into the mud.
Can we change mod the 3D terrain?
It's a good question. One for Alex. I'm not going to say
one for Alex in the chat. Yeah.
Can we rename our units? Yes. Can trenches be constructed? No, but engineer units work in a different way. So entrenchment works slightly differently to Panzer Corps 2, Panzer Corps 1. Now each hex has a base entrenchment. If a unit starts to turn on that hex, it kind of gains that base entrenchment. Okay. So obviously your big trenches, your cities and whatever else will have more. And then the longer it stays there, the more that entrenchment goes up. Tanks get entrenchment much slower than infantry. If you have an engineer unit near there, that entrenchment goes up quicker.
All right. Does this game help you get a girlfriend?
It's a yes. I mean, let's say yes.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
I'm sure somebody helps somebody.
Depends on the girlfriend, I guess.
How drunk can you be when you play this game? Oh, really, really quite drunk. You not necessarily play this game well, but you know,
that's how
we like to accommodate all times.
That's how you call it beer and pretzel.
Precisely.
Right?
Can we rename our units? I think Alex just got that. Yep, there you go.
Yes.
4K monitor support, most certainly. Leaderboard for multiplayer. Not on day one, but it's certainly something we're looking at.
It's definitely something. Can we mod the 3D units? Yes.
No, Alex can tell you more about exactly how.
Yeah, how that's. What is the advantage of pre-ordering? Well, the advantage of pre-ordering is, of course, that you'll get a discount on the base game, and there's other advantages that we are going to announce properly on February 6th when we launch pre-orders.
Yep.
But yes, there will be significant advantages in pre-ordering and getting the game, definitely getting the game before the game releases, officially releases.
Yep.
And we're still actually working on some very, very special advantage that we can't say much about because we haven't confirmed yet, but yes, there will be significant advantages, absolutely.
Yep. So one of the bits that
yes, one point, will there be any casualties reports, statistics?
Yes, there will. They've literally just gone in this beta. I've noticed them where you can see which units got medals, which units got heroes, who they killed, actually see which unit has the best kill death slot. So you can see which of your units actually pulled their weight in that mission, which one just took a right pounding.
Yeah, it's always interesting because then you get you get wedded to one of your super cool unit, and then that unit gets
slaughtered, and they don't. Yes, I think by default they don't come back either. They're dead is dead. But I think again there's an option where you can, if you want to bring them back, you can bring them back. I prefer dead is dead myself.
Of course. What else, guys? Is it possible to produce own 3D briefings?
Oof. No, you get into the
kind of very, very specific question. Yes. Can I name my firstborn child after you? I mean, you who?
Yeah, with him or me? Because him, no, you can't name it after him.
Are there any women soldiers?
Well, they've got big hats on, so I've no idea.
But it's
camouflage is not particularly flattering for anybody.
Panzer Corps is supposed to be, taking on, real data, real stats, and so it's.
I personally probably not, but there were women who fought in World War II undercover, so maybe they're there, and we don't know.
And of course everything's moddable, so you can add anything you want, really.
Yep. So TPSC asked about decisive victory, modular victory. So there's no decisive or modular victories. The scoring is kind of now based on what prestige you end with. Basically, if you win the thing, you win the thing, and if you're doing well with high prestige, you can screenshot that, share it out, show how well you're doing. How to use paratroops in this game effectively? Yes, I would like to know that too. One thing to cover on the encirclement thing we talked about earlier is it's not just about you covering it with your Zocs, it's about supply not being able to get the enemy units. So if you're in the middle of the Ardennes, trucks cannot get through the dense forest in the middle of the Ardennes. So if you can cut the front and the back end of a path off, that will encircle those units. So I have a personal preferred strategy of lobbing some paratroopers over, cutting the end off at one end, tanks come to the other, they're encircled. Yeah, wonderful.
That's a good tip for when you're going to play the game. Are there specialized units named SE units like?
Alex has already bagged that one, yes.
Done. Yes. Can I resupply formally divided troops?
And you can, yes. You basically put them back together. So if you take a unit of 10 Panzer 3s, but it's 2 units of Panzer 5s, they can have a bit of a fight. They've then got a max unit cap of 5, but they can then merge back together into units of 10.
How do you acquire heroes?
Heroes are not yours, not your gift to acquire. They have a high commands to award and recognise. So each mission you'll generally be awarded some, just depends on how high command decided they performed. Whereas, let's keep it that heroes are kind of not yours to decide. Medals are earned by the units. Cool, so much like as you earn achievements in a game by. One example is I have a tank unit in my current game that has a medal for solid defense because I left them out in front. I shouldn't have left them out in front, and they got absolutely pounded and they survived with 1 hit point left. They earned a medal of distinction for that, and I now have a special ability where they're actually much harder to kill going forward.
We sort of covered this slightly on a tangent, but what happens if you lose some battle and game over, you go to another defensive mission?
You generally lose. The general idea is that you win the battle, then choose where to go. Losing is generally bad, but you can, if you want to. Again, it's what we said with choosing things. If you want to, in Africa, and you win, you can either choose to go El Alamein, which generally has its historical thing of going backwards, or you can choose to go to Cairo and push forward and black your way through.
Will you get armor trains?
I've seen some very large guns on very large trains with 80 attacks, so yes.
How surrounding units affect movement?
So surrounding units, you can't move through enemy Zocs. A commander can take a trait that gives them particularly good movement through enemy Zocs if their units are in the way. So that one really rewards you players who want to engage and encircle. So when you split, can you merge the same pair? No, it has to be the same one. They essentially stay together. They're the same units, just divided, and they come back together. You can't mix and match.
Are we developing a mobile version of Panzer Corps 2? I'll let Alex reply to this.
Yes, you can do that one.
How many factions are planned for release? I think, yeah.
We have lots of flags. All the majors, several of the minors.
Any improvements in AI tactics?
Oh, almost certainly, but again, I'm not going to tell you how it's been done. That's Alex's. It's way beyond my technological knowledge.
AI is one of these things you can't really speak much about. It's just like you have to play it and find out for yourself, I guess.
Do you see trails and trains and tracks on the ground? Yes, you do. And importantly, you also see contrails from planes after they return to base, which for my money is my favourite bit. As I start my mission, start my turn, all my planes come back to plane and see these wonderful contrails of my bombers coming back. It's beautiful.
2v2 planned for multiplayer, yes.
Yes.
Weather model, what does it look like?
It's similar, but it looks much nicer. Kind of advantage of 3 terrain,
I mean,
wonderful clouds going over,
is one of the
snow going down the floor.
Parts where the game is really improved from a visual point of view.
Yes.
And
I say one of the bit that we kind of haven't covered, which you'll probably see when Pixelated Apollo plays, is that the zoom levels are really very extreme. If you can get right up close, see the models really close, see the guns firing, and then if you want to, you can zoom right out and then basically turn the map into a strategy map, just blends in. So as you get further out, it turns into a tile-based strategy map.
Yeah.
Wonderful, beautiful to see.
Sorry, answering a question about what would happen to the old Panzer Corps products, I've sort of touched on it, so I'll say it again very quickly because we have got to sort of move to Pixelated Apollo's stream in about 5 minutes. But the old Panzer Corps products will be retired, as it were. They will be merged into the Panzer Corps Gold. So every Panzer Corps content will be in Panzer Corps Gold. We'll re-release everything on a set price. Everything else will be retired. But before we do that, we'll run a set of promotions to make all existing Panzer Corps players purchase the last bit of product they need
so if
fit a collection.
So if you're missing Sea Lion, you can still pick up Sea Lion for that little section just to complete your section.
Yeah, and we'll do it for very, very cheap, so that you guys are going to be able to sort of finish your collection without spending a lot of money. That's the goal of it, really. And then other things, price point. Of course, we don't say price points before
you know us.
The 6th of February.
Can you use your prices to insert enemy airplanes during the missions? You can, but you have to be very cunning about it. I have done this, and it is you lay traps essentially for the enemy, and it is very possible, especially into the fog of war.
Right, guys. So I'll give you 5 minutes of reading space before we move to the stream of the game, the premiere of the game, and then from then on, it's going to be, you're going to see the game popping out a bit everywhere. Hopefully, a lot of streamers will pick it up, and we'll start our PR work. Create.
We're really excited to show it to the world in general as well as our
It's going to be interesting. So thanks, Alex, for joining. We weren't expecting, and we're very, very happy you did. And thanks everyone for attending. Thanks, David, for coming over to Milan.
Thank you very much for the compliments on my shirt. I chose it especially for you.
Of course, the company is not responsible for David's shirts. We'll see you guys very soon to the next Home Wargames Live appointment. And have a good evening, everyone, or day for American viewers. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.